My experience in India. It would start with me 2 days before the flight time telling my mother that I did not want to go. So this trip had a very real chance of not happening at all. And especially because 1 year before that, I had consented to my mother asking if we both could go to India. If I didn't, she would go by herself, and if I did, I and her would go. I consented to that. I said yes. 2 days before the actual flight, which was days and days afterwards, which was days and days after the 1 to 2 months I had spent gloating over the fact I'd actually had to go there. Halfway convinced that we actually wouldn't go. I made it clear to my mother that I didn't want to go. Time changes people, especially my intentions for going to India had changed then. I was curious when I said yes, and when I admitted to my mother that I did not want to go. I was thinking about the July that I'd missed just messing around this summer at home. But little did I know, I would develop so many relationships, I would have so many preconceived notions shattered, and I'd especially learn so much more than just the shattering of my preconceived notions. And especially about myself. Because the thing is, I had that mindset of not wanting to go to India, and I had this mindset that it would be a miserable trip the entire time. The flights did not help at all, by the way. I was nauseous for almost the entire time. I was on the second flight. Because my thing is, my flights were separated into three different locations. From JFK to New Delhi, then New Delhi to this place called Kochi. This city called Kochi. It's a big city, I will say. Not too big, but big enough to have an airport. Then, from there, if I were to land in Kochi, I had to do a 4-hour drive to this place called Coimbatore, which is where I'd actually be staying. Thing is, the flight from JFK to Delhi was not bad. It was not good either, I must say. Sitting in an 18-hour flight, 13-hour to 18-hour flight was miserable. I'm sorry, I would not recommend it to anyone. Especially the airline that we chose for it was not great. The flights landed roughly, and I had nausea at the end of the flights. It was not great. And especially since we booked a wheelchair for carrying the luggage to the next plane. Because there was a 2.5-hour gap between this first and second flights. And if we missed that gap, we wouldn't be able to go to our place. So we had to rush. And I had nausea to the point where I had to sit on that same wheelchair that was meant for carrying luggages because I've been throwing up so much. And especially on the second flight, I was nauseous the entire time. It was like 3 hours, but I still was nauseous for like almost all of it. It sucked. It sucked so badly that I had genuinely considered just being late and delaying the whole thing on purpose just so I wouldn't have to go on that second flight when I landed from the first flight, and I genuinely just wanted to go to wherever home was for whoever would be my cousin and my grandfather to pick me up. I didn't know who actually picked me up, so whoever was picking me up, I hope that they just dropped me and my mother home so I could just sleep it off, the nausea, because it was that bad. Spoiler alert, I wouldn't be able to sleep it off. And that's just a flight. I'm saying that as if the whole trip was horrible. It wasn't. The only thing that made it horrible was my nausea, which I had for like 1.5 weeks out of the 3-week trip. So this trip would go from the beginning of July to the end of it. So the first week that I stayed at the home that me and my mom were designated to for the trip, we were brought there by my older cousin and grandfather. I have 2 cousins, both of them male. We call them cousin brothers in India since if they're a male cousin and if they're close to you, they're technically like your brother in a way, even though they don't come from your mother. Because being a brother would have to require that they come from the same mother. It could be a different father, but the same mother overall. And same with sisters, except the gender is different for the actual person being born. But ultimately, I had 2 male cousins. One of them was 6 months younger than me, and the other was close to 4 years older than me. And the thing is, that 4-year older cousin that I had, he was the same cousin that had watched my mother leave off to America back in like 2008 when my mom had still lived in India. Because my mom was born and raised in India. She lived there basically almost her whole life up until the 2000s, in which like around 2008 or something, she got married to my dad and thereby left for America, leaving behind my 3-year-old older cousin. I'll call him G since that's the first letter of his first name, and M for the other cousin since that's the first letter of his first name. M is the one who's younger. G is the one that's older. Ironically, since my own name starts with G, but we're not talking about myself here. I'll just call myself me, I, or myself. G and M made this trip worth it. I'm sorry. They made it so much worth it to the point where I genuinely was convinced I did not want to leave there when the time came to go. But let's stick to the timeline now, shall we? And I have quite the time to talk about this. I can only make my videos 15 minutes, but I still have time. So, thing is, I had nausea for the first 1.5 weeks. So, this manifested in the form of me not sleeping very well. I slept at like maybe 3 or 4, even 5 o'clock midnight or early morning. And then I would sleep until 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, or one day, even 2:30. Yes, and yes, I do mean it. I slept until literally 2:30 in the afternoon once. I think my nausea was so bad. Thing is, I would wake up, take my shower as usual, do my stuff, and then when I threw up after eating breakfast, or whatever the form of it was, I would decide to sleep it off for the first week since that was the best solution I had. My 2 cousins knew this. In fact, the first day, my cousin G was told that by my mom that I had such terrible nausea the entire time. So he knew. He knew for a fact. So that came to such a point where even at the last week of the trip, they were asking me if I had nausea, even though I had recovered from it midway through the second week. So that was fun, I'd say. But other than that, I got to meet my older cousin's girlfriend. I got to meet my older cousin's friends. My older cousin was like a socialite. This man was like me, extroverted. He is ambiverted, but I could not tell with the fact that he had so many goddamn friends that all knew him. And my cousin was on some mentor time too. He actually told me that half the friends he has came to him because they wanted advice on how to live life. Since my cousins go to a gym and they try to improve their physique, and it's safe to say, I could see it. They're like bodybuilders almost, because they've been going to the gym for so long. Because specifically my older cousin G, he was actually fat once, so much that my aunt and my mother were worried for him since they thought it was like hormonal imbalance or he genuinely had bad health. But he decided to take it personally, lock in, and now he genuinely looks like a fucking Indian movie character. And the buff one specifically. And there's this like ancient Indian based movie protagonist. My older cousin dead ass looks like a mirror of him. Anyways, to the actual trip, they took me out to a lot of restaurants. Specifically the high end ones that definitely did not have that Indian street food safety hazard nonsense. It was good stuff. In fact, I think the food was actually enjoyable because it did not cause my nausea. Because my nausea was just caused by being in India overall, it seemed. Because my jet lag was so bad, I didn't even think it was jet lag. I thought I genuinely had something in my system. Because that shit felt terrible. You do not want to know what it's like throwing up after eating every meal. You do not want to know what it's like thinking you'll throw up every meal, throwing up after every breakfast, falling asleep to sleep it off, then realizing you wasted half a day. Actually, afterwards, the sleeping it off helped. In terms of like the afternoon naps, they helped out at least a little bit. I didn't throw up right afterwards, but I still felt like I would for the rest of the day. And I, of course, ate some traditional Indian foods, really good stuff. Then they brought me out to certain places to hang out with friends, and those friends got to know me like I kind of got to know them. And the thing is, throughout that, I genuinely oversaw the fact that I was forming bonds with people that I had not met since I was like 5. That was the last time I ever went to India with them. And the thing is, it's been so long since then. And to me, they're still like the cousins from India. And to me, I thought I was like the cousin from America. And that's the thing. With going on a trip to India, you need to have relatives. And to anywhere, you need to have relatives or family. Considering, especially being separated for a whole decade and more years after that, you you guys will grow apart, and you guys will grow into your own people to such an extent to where it's like y'all are probably not even brothers. It's not like y'all couldn't even consider yourselves siblings since y'all are so different. And y'all probably wouldn't even know you're cousins until you meet each other. And they did not constantly push down the fact that I was a brother or a cousin. They did not need to do that because I genuinely felt like it. To me, this is a trip that I once hated, something I love and remember with the rest of my life. Because I dead will remember this trip. Considering I just let my mind out. I stayed authentic to myself, which is what I recommend all of you do on all of your trips to other places across the world. Be authentic to yourselves. Stay curious. Interact with people. Let yourself simply be in the moment. Because especially for the last time you're leaving, especially if you have family there, it's going to be bittersweet. And the waterworks will go crazy on the last day. The waterworks will go crazy the days before the last day. Because I only then realized the extent to what I had built. Because obviously I was too busy being in the present moment and making those memories. Because memories are best made when you're in the present moment making them. So for me, my two cousins, G and M, G is like close to 4 years older than me. M's like 6 years younger than myself. Despite them being bodybuilders, despite them having their own life experience, just like I did, we managed to relate with each other. Because the thing is, we grew apart in different parts of the world, thousands of miles away, on different sides of the earth. Different languages, different people, different social customs, social traditions, culture. We grew apart on so many different things, but we were all united by one thing: cousinhood. Because we were cousins at the end of the day. And I went to meet them for that 1 month, and I amended a relationship with them that I genuinely never thought I'd ever make. Because I never thought I'd be making relationships for 1 month. Especially with Gary's friends. Because some of the friends actually said bye to me, and some of them actually... Because Gary's only one of his friends, we'll call him V, was about to cry since he did not know someone that was saying thank you for everything. Like, I was genuinely saying thank you for literally everything. In fact, they brought the tradition to Gary to say bless you to people whenever they sneeze, since that's not really a tradition. Because the thing is, G, I accidentally said his name. G did in fact have a girlfriend, and she was actually from America until she came to India. I don't know why I'm stuttering so much all of a sudden. So she knows the things that are going on here in America. But then she moves to India occasionally since her family is also there. Her family likes to move. So my cousin's girlfriend, we'll call her N as in Nancy. Her name was not Nancy, definitely not. It was an Indian name, they'll just call her N. She was from America, so therefore she knew different things, and she couldn't get him to say bless you ever after someone sneezed. Even those little things. I talked about like politics. We had conversations about like politics in India, politics in America, making some jokes every now and then. It was fun. So my experience in India wasn't this insane thing where it was overly professional, overly terrible. It was overly well, I'd say. Because even if I had nausea half the time, the latter half in which I did not have it, that was one for the ages. Very organized friend I got going on here. But honestly, I don't have much to say. I might make a part 2 to this and to elaborate on certain parts if y'all care enough to watch it. Hopefully y'all don't. But hopefully y'all do. I don't know what to hope for, but hopefully when you guys go to a trip abroad, you stay yourselves, remain yourselves. Hopefully have family around, and if not, perfectly fine. Just stick to yourself, interact with people, and be ready to learn something about yourself that you never thought you would know. Because for me, the fact that I'm wise is something I never thought I'd ever hear from anyone. So that's it. Anyways, see ya.